spring day. All the beautiful spring flowers are out. It is a delight. It's my favorite season of the year, just to see everything coming back to life out there. So thank you for spending some time with us this morning, whether you're here or online. I don't think we have any visitors in the house, and I don't think anyone who doesn't know about the mask thing. We have them available if you want that added protection, but we're not requiring them. And we're so delighted to have Ralph Wiesberg with us again. It's been a long while. Let's welcome him back. Music stand there. I always like to just mention a couple of brief things before we go into prayer, which is always the way we begin. But a couple of events, just little things to mention. The Unity Women's Lunch Group. Not doing the usual lunch at a restaurant thing this month. There's going to be a gathering at the church to give the church do some spring cleaning, give the church some tender loving care. That will be on May 19th. There'll be a bag lunch enjoyed that day. But I think the spring cleaning activity and TLC stuff will be going on like 9 to 2. Am I right about that? Stretch there, but you can come for a portion of that, come for the lunch, whatever. And today's the first Sunday of the month, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be acknowledging birthdays, anniversaries, special days toward the end of the service. And it's Mayday. Happy Mayday.
Happy Mayday.
May 1. I wish we had Maypole out back. But, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But as always, we want to begin with prayer. I invite you to bring into your mind anything you're lifting up in prayer today, any people, any situations. People listening in online, you can always send a prayer request in. UnityDelawareOhio.org, there's a prayer request tab right at the top. We are praying for peace in Ukraine and all around the world. We are praying for loving kindness and wisdom to prevail across the earth. We are praying for living beings everywhere. And Ralph is going to lead us into a prayer, start us off with a prayer song by Karen Drucker called I Am So Blessed.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful. I am so blessed. You can sing that with me if you want. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
As we close our eyes, we allow ourselves to become even more centered and still. Even more aware of that power and presence in us, that renewing energy that flows through us steadily, unfailingly, that renewing life that is all around us. On this special first day of May, the fullness of spring is all around us, reminding us of the renewing life of God, with us unfailingly. Whatever dark times we have come through, whatever challenges we have been facing, new life is emerging in us always. Healing is always underway. We are being led forward in the path of life, of peace, and of freedom. So we celebrate that truth. We give thanks for it this morning. We reaffirm our commitment to walk by that light day by day, to listen for God's word within us and to follow the path before us as God lights it day by day. Thank you, God, for your unfailing power and presence with us at all times and in all places. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, Ralph is doing a couple of originals for us this morning. We're going to join in on the last one, but this one is one called Lighthouse of Truth. It's a Ralph Wiesberg original.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a couple of years old, but I always like the idea of lighthouse as being a metaphor for spiritual awareness or whatever you want to call it. There have been dark times in my life. There were times I could hardly see. There were times when it seemed like the whole wide world shut off its light from me. There were times that I felt so bad. Despair had taken its toll, like I was shut up in a windowless room in the dark night of the soul. That's when I saw the beacon of light, saw the beacon of hope. Felt the tower of strength, giving me the power to cope. Lighting up my path, showing me the proof. It was there all the time, the lighthouse of truth. Now when the sun seems to disappear, and dark clouds fill the skies, I know hope is always near. Just have to open my eyes. It stands taller than the trees, and its light is shining true over the raging seas. A promise for me and you, on and on illuminating where I need to go. Never is it faltering, ever does it grow. When I think about how I got here, I sometimes wonder about the changes in me, from a person who was living in fear to a person who is living free. If I just keep moving ahead, living life day by day, accepting my daily bread, and with the truth to light my way, that's when I'll see the beacon of light, see the beacon of hope. Feel the tower of strength, giving me the power to cope. Lighting up my path, showing me the proof. It was there all the time, the lighthouse of truth. Yes, it was there all the time, the lighthouse of truth.
All right.
Good song. I like that song a lot. Oh, Mayday, Mayday. I've been reflecting on Mayday all week. And in case I forget, we're going to be talking about some Mayday traditions here. We brought some little flower packets. We brought these last week, actually. It's a Mayday gift, and there's a basket of them by the door. So if you'd like a flower packet to go take home and plant somewhere, be sure to grab one of those. I think I'm going to use this one. These blue morning glories, don't they look delightful? There are some wonderful ideas associated with Mayday. I did not realize all of them, which is, we've all got spring fever so bad right now. It's like all I want to do is be outside. Are you like that too? I just want to watch spring come on. So I was remembering spring fever jokes. There was the one about the three guys, they were like in high school, like seniors in high school or something, and it was such a beautiful spring day, they just wanted to go out and take a bike ride, so they skipped their last morning class, and they were gone, and after lunch, they came back after their bike ride, and they went back to the teacher, said, well, they had a flat tire on the way to school that day, had to repair it. She said, well, okay, I understand, we had a test, and you'll have to retake that. And they said, okay, they felt lucky, and they go, so sit in different places in the room, we'll get started. Very first question is, which tire was flat? I think she got him on that. Very smart. But we understand the pull of spring big time. I certainly do. And Mayday, it's actually, it's an ancient spring festival, particularly in pagan traditions. I guess it went by the name of Beltane also. Is that familiar to you? That was kind of new to me in the pagan tradition, but it goes back many centuries. It's the holiday, May 1. It falls halfway between like the spring equinox and the summer solstice. And it's really a celebration of the fullness of spring, which is what we're seeing all around us right now. And there were a lot of traditional celebrations by tradition. Children went out garlanding on the eve, gathering flowers, weaving them into garlands or crowns. There were often bonfires, which were good luck. There were feasts, always cake. There were dances around a maypole. I was looking at some maypole dances online. I encourage you, if you have a minute today, look on YouTube. There are a number of places that still do maypole dances. I saw a couple of sweet ones from like elementary schools. They looked like they were girls' schools. Girls in pastel dresses dancing around the maypole to the beat of drums and music, and weaving as they go, weaving these ribbons, maypole ribbons, so that they kind of braid as they kind of go around. Just beautiful. Bryn Mawr College apparently to this day has one, and somewhere online there's a lovely picture of Katharine Hepburn when she was a student at Bryn Mawr in her garb for a maypole dance. Just beautiful stuff. There's also a very interesting tradition about May Days, about the dew on the morning of May Day. According to folklore, the dew on May 1 has magical properties, and anyone who washes their face in the morning dew will have a flawless complexion all year. Will eliminate all freckles or spots or pimples. That dew is power. Did you get any dew this morning?
I didn't know.
I forgot, I'm afraid. But, so lots of traditions. I also think it's fascinating. This is what I was really focusing on a little this week. Is May Day is also used as an international signal of distress for ship captains or pilots. And where it's always said 3 times. Did you know that? Mayday, Mayday, Mayday has to be said 3 times, and it means emergency situation. Presumably it was come up with by a man at the Croydon Airport in London, a senior radio officer named Frederick Stanley Mockford. And I guess before that they only had SOS as an emergency signal, which was hard sometimes to understand with the SF, FOS. You know, it wasn't considered clear enough. So he came up with this, and they say the idea originated because it's very similar to the word in French that means help me. M'-A-I-D-E-R, those of you who took French in school, Mayday, Mayday. So it's kind of got that same meaning. So Mayday kind of has both of these meanings. As a distress signal that was embraced by our country internationally in 1927, the official distress signal. And May Day as a celebration going back centuries and centuries. It's like a double meaning for that. I find particularly resonant somehow this year. Coming out of a pandemic, we're still a little worried. We're still challenged. We're worried about things going on in the world. So there's still a sense of distress. But it's also spring, it's May Day, and life is renewing all around us. You know, the green is coming out. It's like every morning it's more lush. Are you noticing it from your own windows? The tulips are opening now, and all the red buds are fabulous this year, all the eastern red buds we saw on the way to church this morning. So it's both. And our challenge in life, and it always is to hold both. Is to experience both. Because life is always both. We have this tendency to want things to stay always the same. No rocking the boat, please. And yet there's always going to be rocking boats. From what a counselor told me once, I was talking about I just didn't want another shoe to drop, and they were saying, another shoe is always dropping. Another shoe is always dropping. It's kind of life. There's always both going on. And we have to learn how to carry on in life, continue to thrive, and celebrate and appreciate the beauty of the day, enjoy the beauty of the day, even with that mixture of things going on. I was remembering a story I read. It was in a memoir, and I'm afraid I don't recall the author, but it was written by a grandmother talking about with her granddaughter having conversations about life in this both-and kind of way. The child was growing up in a difficult home. There was a lot of strife, arguing. There was alcoholism in the home. And after a troubled night of chaos or confusion, she'd go to grandmother, and they would go, and she would always go take her out for a walk out in nature and just walk and take things in, and then she would listen. She would listen to the stories and what she was hearing. But then she would also say, well, look at this, and soak this up. You have to find a way to hold them both. And I find that such a profound teaching somehow. There's a lot of wisdom in that. We have to find a way to hold them both. Not deny, not try to push aside, but be able to hold both. Enjoy the day while also facing challenges or realizing there are challenges, but also enjoying the beauty of this moment of our lives. I think the word we have for this in English is resilience. I think that's probably the closest to this idea of being able to hold both. In psychology, they talk of resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, threats, or significant sources of stress, whether with family, relationships, health, work, finances, wherever. Being able to adapt well in the face of it. Being resilient doesn't mean you won't ever again experience distress or difficulty. It just means you'll cope with it better when you do. I think there are a lot of spiritual teachings on this, quite a lot, and one of my favorite ones is this kind of mystical teaching Jesus has in his parable of the weeds and the wheat. Any of you remember that story? He did a lot of agricultural metaphors, farmer stories and so on. And this was one of those. This is from Matthew 13, if you want to read it later. It's someone had planted good seed in their field, but then somehow someone slipped in there, or somehow or other weeds got planted in among the wheat. And so the workers went to the farmer and said, well, shall we pull out all those weeds? Should we tear them out? And the wise farmer said, no, for in gathering the weeds, you would uproot the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. We'll sort it out later. And bundle the weeds in one way and the good plants the other. Let both grow together until the harvest. I think there's a mystical teaching here about there's always going to be weeds. There's going to be weeds in life. But don't let it throw you so that everything is bad. So you got to pull everything out. Don't overreact, I think, to the weeds. There are always going to be weeds, like there are always going to be other shoes dropping. Same idea. We have to learn to hold them both. Buddhism has wonderful and vast teachings on this idea of how we hold them both, how we become more resilient, and on our tendency to get kind of fixated on things that are wrong and not be able to let that go, or things that have changed that we didn't want to change and they've changed, and they have really helpful teachings about these things and practices for dealing with them. The two main ideas it comes down to are attachment. Cause of so much of our suffering is we get attached to certain things and the way they have to be, and our inability to let that go, source of a lot of our suffering. Attachment, and the other one is our belief in permanence, that we have this idea we want things should be permanent, and it troubles us, it upsets us sometimes greatly when we are reminded things are impermanent. Somebody dies, something happens, somebody goes away, things end, nothing is permanent, and yet we hold to that idea, don't we? We all do, and it's kind of a natural human thing to do, but we all have to work with it because we can cause ourselves so much distress when we are insisting on permanence and things change, and then it throws us. So much. Well, in Buddhism, and I think this is in Christianity too, but the practice is all about awareness. Awareness in meditation. As you're breathing, you're focusing on your breath, and you track the thoughts that are coming in recurrently, they're coming in again. This is going to reveal to us something about our attachments, something about our resistance to change. As we become aware of that, and then go back to our focus on our breath, as we become aware of that and then bring it back, we become less a slave to it. We start realizing, we're the observer. We're observing the thoughts come and go. So it kind of loosens the grip of those attachments the more we become aware. And then we can practice that, out of meditation, just in daily life, when we realize we've been triggered again and we're really angry about that again. That thing that shouldn't have changed, or that thing we must have and we don't have it now. When that comes to mind, and we can let it go again. We've been cultivating, it's really kind of like a spiritual muscle that we can cultivate to become aware and say, I'm not going to go down that road right now. There it is again, but I'm not going to focus on that right now. It's like building a spiritual muscle as we practice that kind of awareness. And I think we've been working on our resilience and on this curriculum pretty intensively the last couple of years. Would you agree? Because quite a few things have happened we didn't expect to happen. Certain things we thought were going to be permanent, and wow, they're not permanent. Turns out they were impermanent. Things change. Certain things we were attached to, like things we were able to do, go out, see people, a number of things, and they all changed quite a bit. The way we counted on our health in certain ways, and it seemed to be more fragile than we thought. All kinds of things shifted. So we've had a lot of practice in working on our resilience in the last year or two, and I think we've learned a lot from that. Would you agree? I think we've grown in that capacity, all of us. But it's always a work in progress, this learning to hold both. Yes, the world is scary. Things are happening we wish wouldn't happen. Things are changing that we wish wouldn't change. This is always going on, but at the same time, life is renewing itself again and again. The world is greening up. Flowers are opening. The breeze is soft and full of the scent of lilac bushes and viburnums. And we have to hold both. We have to hold both in order to enjoy life and the beauty of this moment. We all practice this capacity, this resilience every day, I think, because life is always giving us opportunities to do so. And we get better and better at it, I think. But invariably, there are ones that throw us, and we have to deepen that practice and work with it again and again. And really, it happens to us all. When you're going along on a little bit of a plateau, and then somebody in the family gets sick, or you lose an older loved one, or somebody loses their job, or any number of things happen. Some things come up, and again, we are practicing our ability to be resilient. And it doesn't matter who you are, how much you have, how rich, how famous, whatever your circumstances in life, this is the truth for us all. I was really touched by a story, and I'm sure you all know this musician, John Baptiste. And he nods. He's like the head band leader on Late Night with Stephen Colbert. He got something like 11 Grammys this year. He's really, really well respected. Plays keyboard and sings. He's just really, really talented guy. And he's married to a woman named Sulika Jouad. I read her book a couple of years ago called Between Two Kingdoms. As a cancer survivor, she wrote this book about what it's like to try to, as she was coming out of that, was in remission, how to come back into a kind of a more normal life. You sort of feel like you're between two worlds for a while. It was a really moving memoir she wrote. And that was 10 years ago that she went through that treatment. Well, just recently, she had a relapse. She got sick again with cancer. Again, leukemia came back. And it was all right around the same time her husband, John Baptiste, was getting all these recognitions for all his achievements in music. She said it was so right, it was around that she said it was so. She's in her second battle with cancer, and she said we're sitting in this chemo suite together, and he's receiving all these calls of congratulations on his Grammy Awards, and this is a quote, we're having to hold these two realities. Mm-hmm. This is life. This is, everybody deals with this. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are in life. She said about this challenge, she said, it's holding the absolutely heartbreaking, painful things and the beautiful, soulful things in the palm of one hand. It's hard to do that, but you have to do it. Otherwise, the grief takes over. Wisdom learned the hard way. Baptiste said it taught him all this can go away. Impermanence, that Buddhist lesson of impermanence, he really gets now, and he's pouring that into his art. And that's really how they practice holding them both of these realities. The wonderful achievements and successes and delights of life, as well as sickness and the challenges of that. And they've done some remarkable things, just given who they are and how their particular gifts flow, to make sure they experience that soulful, beautiful side of life, even in the midst of the hardships. She was talking about a time when she was going through a bone marrow transplant. You have to be very isolated when you go through that kind of thing. And so he couldn't go to see her, but he wrote a lullaby every day for her and sent it to her, and she would listen to that lullaby every day. And she said it felt like he was right here, creating beautiful music. She's very artistic, as well as being a writer. During treatment, she was writing about her experience, but she paints now too. She paints about what it's like to deal with cancer. She paints about her experience, and she has decorated her walker with beads and jewels. It looks really, she says it now makes her, instead of dread that she's having to use a walker at 35 or whatever she is, it makes her happy to look at it, and she was going to name it something. They were working on that. And I love that. I just love the spirit of that, don't you? There's a defiance about it. There's an insistence about whatever's going on, I'm going to do whatever I can to make the best of it, to bring some life to it, some soul to it, and to carry on in the best way I can. And sometimes the richness that can bring to life, I remember witnessing that a lot when I was doing hospice volunteer work. You would hear remarkable things people would do, and help others would do for them. Like, I remember years ago, there was a woman, obviously she was in hospice in Coburger House, the inpatient hospice unit, and she hadn't had a bubble bath in many, many years, not being able to get into a tub, and they gave her a bubble bath with champagne, with a lift, and they hoisted her up and put her in the tub, and it was just one of those defiant, things. I'm going to live, I'm going to enjoy the beauty of the day, and people willing to step up and help with that, because we all get that. Life gets hard. It's hard to hold them both. So let's bring as much soul to that as we can. Let's bring as much beauty to it as we can. I think that's wonderful, and wonderful teachings all around us of people managing to do this, even in troubling times, finding a way to make music, to create beauty, to spend special time with loved ones. And I think now, Mayday, this beautiful spring day, this is a wonderful time to practice our ability to hold them both. Get outside. Whatever challenges you're facing, we're not going to deny they're there. Whatever fear or worry we have, we're not going to deny they're there. Yeah, they're there. And life gets scary sometimes, but it's also Mayday. So get out and smell that spring air and plant some seeds and look at the open tulips and the flowering redbuds and whatever's going on in your neck of the woods. Soak it up because even though there's still some distress, that Mayday, Mayday, Mayday feeling, it's also Mayday. It's spring, and the fullness of life is all around us. So let's take that into a moment of prayer if we could. Let's affirm our intention to fully experience and celebrate this beautiful spring day. We are grateful to celebrate May Day. We are grateful to be moving around in this beautiful green world, to see everything coming back to life around us. We are soaking that up. We are letting it invigorate us and remind us of that renewing life that is within us as well, unfailingly, throughout our lives, healing us, leading us forward in the path of life, blessing us with riches beyond measure, day by day. Thank you, God, for your unfailing presence in our midst. Amen. All right, well, we are going to do another song. So Ralph and Joe and I are going to chime in on a harmony as best we can. We learned this song this morning, so I'm sure you'll be understanding it, but we miss our marks a little bit. Joe will scooch the camera over here. All right. Probably over here, Joe can put the iPad there. right. Isn't it remarkable the way Joe just double duties here?
It's remarkable.
He's holding,
Remarkable.
he's holding both. He's holding both the technical challenges and the joy of music. Good job. You've got this right here. You don't need it, probably.
I don't need it. I'm pretty sure I'll remember the words.
Do you want to introduce this song?
Yeah, well, there's Cheryl and I, when we're in Florida, go to Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral, and one of the practitioners down there, her name is Linda Lloyd, came up with this thing of 5G Day. This was way before 5G ever was a thing, and it's great, grand, glorious, good God Day. Today's another great, grand, glorious, good God Day, another 5G Day. And the band down there, the Big Love Band that I get to be a part of when I'm down there, which consists of me and Brian, the bass player, and Colette, the most fabulous keyboard player that I've met in a long, long time. Colette came up with a little, the chorus part of it, and I wrote the rest of the words, and we gave Linda this song, along with everybody else down in Cape Coral. So, here it goes.
All right.
And you'll get it after a couple of times through. You know you're not paying attention. Pay attention. Oh, it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I'm glad to say things go my way. Well, I've been up and I've been down and I've been in between. I've been lost and I've been found, but I made a scene to the place that's made for me. And I want to say it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. Oh, it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I'm glad to say things are going my way. Take one, Joe. Oh, it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I'm glad to say things go my way. Well, sometimes there's a cloudy sky, but I know the sun is still up there shining, and it will show when all those dark and stormy clouds blow away to make a great, grand, glorious, good God day. Oh, it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I'm glad to say things go my way. We'll do that again. Oh, it's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. It's a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I'm glad to say things are going my way. Yes, I am glad to say things are going my way.
Very nice. Thank you, Ralph. Perfect. We'll let Joe head on back and move things around camera-wise. Meanwhile, we'll invite Linda Comstock, our board secretary. Thank you, and does so much around here. We'll let her come up and do some announcements up here. Thank you so much, Linda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see everyone this morning. And want to say thank you to Joanne for that inspiring message and some good reminders. And Ralph,
Thank you, Ralph.
as our musician, as original songs, and Joe and Joanne for providing the harmony on that. Our AV technician, Joe. And our fellowship angel, Linda Hill.
Yay!
For providing the snacks for after the service. And of course, a warm thank you for all your tithes and donations that keep this ministry and the church going. We are grateful for your support. Now for some announcements. The Unity Women Lunch Group will not be meeting at a restaurant this month. Instead, we'll meet here at the church to do some spring cleaning, and we'll enjoy a bag lunch together in the gathering room. I think that means bring your own lunch. Okay. And that will be on May 19th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And any part of that time frame that you want to come out and lend a little support to the spring cleaning, that would be great. Let's see. Oh, first Sunday of the month. It's special day.
Yeah.
Special day. So we want to acknowledge anyone who has a birthday or anniversary or
Oh, Lynn Hill back
Lynn
there.
Hill.
All right. Good.
come on down.
Come on up. Come on up. Any others? Birthdays, anniversaries? Oh, good.